Hello, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Yusuf Abujaderi, and I'm one of the senior financial planners on the Yeski Bowie team. Going to be sharing two charts we think tell an encouraging story about the health of the economy. And so much to worry about over the past 2 years, and rightfully so. We'd like to spend a couple minutes today giving you something to feel good about. We'll start with a chart that illustrates the performance of three economic indicators we've been tracking throughout the pandemic. Purple line illustrates claims for unemployment insurance, which have been clocking in under 300,000 per week for the past 2 months, despite the Omicron surge. And that figure tracks with the last pre pandemic reading of 256,000 claims. For context, at the outset of the pandemic, that figure exploded to more than 6 million claims per week, effectively overnight. The orange line illustrates the unemployment rate. You can see the relationship between this line and the purple line. Claims for unemployment insurance skyrocketed. So too did the unemployment rate, peaking at over 14% in the spring of 2020. Since then, the measure has gradually decreased to 3.9%. Although that's slightly off the pre pandemic level of 3.5%, we'll note here that full employment is defined as 4% or lower. I think it's cause for optimism that we've managed to reach full employment within 2 years of the onset of the pandemic, an achievement many thought was an overly optimistic prognostication when economists were saying that was a possibility 2 years ago. The blue line illustrates GDP, or gross domestic product, the measure of total output for the economy. You can see how this line has an inverse relationship with the other two. In other words, the more people out of work, the lower the total output of the economy. Things bottomed out in July of 2020 and have since been trending upward. And since the beginning of 2020, even after accounting for the damage COVID wrought, average annual growth has been 3.91%. So, although the World Bank recently estimated growth will slow to 4% in 2022 from 5.5% in 2021, that tracks with the path we've been on for the past 2 years. And if we zoom out a bit and look at the same indicators over the past 10 years, we gain a bit of perspective that underscores our positive outlook. Although COVID presented an intense shock to the system, the snap back to the pre pandemic trajectory has been just as dramatic. The unemployment rate has been steadily falling for a decade, and the current reading tracks with the pre pandemic trajectory. Likewise, the GDP trend line is back on track with the 10-year trend line, average annual growth of 4%. So, while we're not saying there's nothing to worry about, what we are saying is there's cause for optimism going forward, and we're gratified by what we've observed over the past 2 years since this all started. Thanks again for joining me today.